Chapter 3 is all about matrices. Now, some Algebra 2 classes go over matrices. Some Algebra 1 classes introduce it. If you haven't seen it before, don't worry. But this will use a lot of the graphing calculator, so I really suggest either check one out if you don't have one or borrow one for a lot of this, because it can be done with the graphing calculator really easily. Okay, matrices. Matrices are used to organize and interpret data. And we're going to learn just some basics, how to add and subtract them, how to read them, how to transpose them in this section. So matrices are classified in terms of the number of rows and columns. So this matrix has 3 rows and 4 columns. So it's called a 3 by 4 matrix. Now, 2 matrices are said to have the same order or the same size if they have the same number of rows and same number of columns. So they have to match exactly to be considered the same order. So order just means the same size. So this one would be a 2 by 3 would be its order, 2 by 3, while this one would be a 3 by 2. So they don't have the same setup. Now, if we had equal numbers of rows and columns, we call that a square matrix, and that makes sense. It's a square. They're the same rows and columns. Now, if we are reading a matrix and they're asking for one of the elements, like on this example, element A 3, 2. That means row 3, column 2. Row first, column second. So row 3, column 2 would be 8. Is matrix A square matrix? Yes. It is a 3 by 3. Now, a transpose, what that means is we're going to switch the rows and columns. So we designate that with a little T in the upper corner. And so instead of this row being here, it's going to become the column. So transpose means we are going to switch the rows and columns, transpose them. Now the last one. Does A, matrix A, equal matrix B? They look similar, except for the very last element. So no. So in A, row 3, column 3 does not equal in B, row 3, column 3. Now, adding and subtracting matrices is pretty easy. We will be doing some of this in the calculator, and I will show you how to do that, but adding and subtracting, you don't really need to use the calculator. Let me show you how easy it is. First off, they have to be the same size. Okay? And when we subtract, we are literally just going to subtract like positions. And we're going to add like positions. So if I'm taking matrix A plus matrix B, I'm literally just going to take 1 plus negative 1, and that's going to be a 0. Then 2 plus 2 is 4. 3 plus negative 3 is 0. 4 plus negative 2 is 2. It'd be a negative 1, and we're done. Using the same matrix, find A minus B. So 1 minus a negative 1. That'd make it a 2. 2 minus 2. 3 minus a negative 3. 4 minus a negative 2. Negative 1 minus 0. And negative 2 minus 1. The next example is actually looking at a table. The table below summarizes the actual and projected U.S. Dollar value in billions of U.S. exports and imports of pipeline natural gas with Canada and Mexico, and of liquefied natural gas with other countries for selected years. So if we wanted to write a matrix that describes the balance of trade in the natural gas, let's start with the one that's going to be the exports. So we'll call A is going to be the exports, and that would be 3.15, 5.76, 6.53. Whoops, didn't make it big enough. 2.99, 5.87. And B, so I'm making B be the imports. So A is the exports, B is the imports. Again, I did not make it wide enough. And the balance of trade would be A minus B. So here's where I'm going to show you how you can use the calculator to make these calculations go a little bit faster. Okay, so in your calculator, above the inverse button, you'll see the word matrix. It's in blue, so we're going to press, I'm going to clear out everything else. I'm going to press second matrix. And it lists out a whole bunch of names of matrices. But we are wanting to create one. So we are going to go over to Edit. And I'm going to edit A to match what we have written there. Now so it starts off with a 1 by 1. I don't want a 1 by 1. I want 3 rows and 3 columns. So 3 by 3. And now I can type in. So I just hit enter after I was done typing. And I've got matrix A filled in. So now I'm going to leave matrix A. So I did second quit, and quit is above the mode button. I'm going to go back into the matrix, and now notice that it says that matrix A is a 3 by 3. I need to edit matrix B to also be a 3 by 3. Now I'm going to quit, second quit. Now when I pull up the matrix menu, I have A and B both in there. So I can press enter on A, that selects matrix A, minus, I want to select, so I'm going to go back in, second matrix, select B. And what it's going to do is it's going to subtract each of those values for me. Whew, that saves a lot of time, doesn't it? And now all I have to do is write down my answers. So let's think about what the negative means. It really represents that we have an unfavorable balance of trade. Our imports are higher than our exports. Let's look at scalar multiplication. And scalar, all that means is we're multiplying by a number. So if this is matrix A, and we're wanting to find 5A, well, that just means I'm going to take everything in A and multiply it by 5. Distribute it. This can also be done in the calculator, but this one's pretty easy. I'm just going to multiply everything by 5. And if I'm negative 2A, I'd multiply everything by negative 2. Now let's see how that can be applied to a real life situation. So a lot of times tables are converted to matrices to make it easier to work with. So suppose the purchase prices and delivery costs per unit for wood siding and roofing used in construction are given in the following table. So that would make us have a cost matrix of 6, 4, 2, 1, 1, 0.5. If the supplier announces a 10% increase on both purchase and delivery of these items, what would be the new unit cost? Now be careful, if you just multiply by 0.10, you're finding out what we will increase by. But if we take the original plus that, we're actually going to be multiplying by 1.10. So I'm going to multiply everything by 1.1. And this may be easier to do in the calculator. So I'm just going to practice that. We'll go second matrix, edit. What kind of matrix do I have? A 2 by 3. And you just can type right over what was in there. And now I'm going to quit. 1.1 times matrix, and I put it in A. I probably should have put it in C so it would match. But that gives me a 10% increase. If you had left it as just a 0.1, you would be getting the amount of the increase, and then you would have had to add that to your original. Which would work as well.